everybody. Welcome to the Backstory Podcast today. I'm very excited to bring you Sarah McCrum today. She's a very exciting author. She's written several books, actually, in different areas, a spiritual teacher, if you will. But for the most part, she's very famous, happens to be famous for one book in particular, and that is Love Money, Money Loves You. And it really starts to touch on some very sensitive points here in the spiritual arena because we have so much challenge with money here and the way we think about money. The group's done a lot of work, of course, on abundance in the underlying thoughts of it all. But I'm very excited today to bring you Sarah. Sarah's one of the family, so to speak. So Sarah, welcome. Glad you're here today. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you very much. I'm very happy to be here.
Oh, good. So this is your big book, right? This is the biggest one that you wrote, because you wrote several. Is that right?
I've written and published 3 books, and this is the
Oh,
one that people buy, and people keep just sharing it with their friends and with their coaching groups, and so it keeps on growing and growing and growing without me having to make a lot of effort. So there's something in it that catches people's attention.
awesome, awesome. And here, I'll show them the book right off the bat. So since we're talking about it, this is her website at sarahmccrum.com. And that's the book we're talking about right here at the beginning. And you talked about a freebie here for first 4 chapters, I think.
Which actually contain a chapter which is called A New Blueprint for Making Money. So it's quite radical in a way. I think your audience will kind of understand the radical nature of it, because it's quite a spiritual approach, but without avoiding the practical side of money.
Oh, cool. Oh, cool. That's it. That's exactly what we need. We need that spiritual approach and the whole process around it. Why do you think that we have, especially in the spiritual community, why do we have so many restrictive ideas about abundance, about money? Tell us about what your overview of this is, and then we'll get into some of the details.
Well, really, I think we have a very profound misunderstanding of what money is. That's what I learned from writing that book, and I'm sure we'll talk about that more a bit later. But a lot of that misunderstanding really has come from religion and also from spiritual traditions, not just religious traditions. And it
Right.
creates, I think, a terrible conflict inside ourselves because most of us have learned in some way, whether from religion or from our culture, or more recently from Eastern cultures, that it is more virtuous to be poor and that people with integrity aren't greedy and don't try to get rich, different variations of it. But whether you're a monk with a begging bowl in the East, or you're a Christian, trying to get into heaven in the West, and there are variations everywhere, I think that makes it very difficult for somebody who is spiritual to figure out what to do about money. It's like, if I'm a good person, maybe it's not safe to make money, it'll corrupt me, or it's evil, or there's something wrong. If I make money, then maybe I'm not a good person. And you have to make a decision on which side you want to sit.
Well, that's amazing. Yeah, the whole idea of dirty money, the whole process that we're
Yeah.
taught when we're kids about how it works and all the rest of it. Yeah, I think there's a huge um, misunderstanding, maybe. People confuse greed and wealth, abundance. Sometimes, a lot of times it's an interesting process. They block themselves before they even get into it. Before you really have to make a decision of what you're going to do with your wealth once you get wealthy. Once that flow starts, you have to decide what what you're really going to do with it. But most people block that before it even happens. It's kind of fascinating to see.
Yeah, I mean, wealth does bring responsibilities, and we often don't want to
Yeah,
have the responsibilities. We think, oh, I just want the money, but I don't want my life to be more challenging, because we think money will make
yeah.
everything easier. But actually, you're really taking on more challenges when you take on more wealth, because you're able to make more contribution. You're able to solve more problems as well. So I think that that's one of the fundamental misunderstandings. And the other thing, look, given the company that I'm in, I should explain that this is essentially a channeled book. So I didn't set out to write a book about money because I knew so much about it. What actually happened was that I was in a big financial hole in my life. And a question was put in front of me from another book, and it said, "What would money like to say to you?" And I started writing, and money started talking to me through my pen. And I continued doing that for months. And the book is actually just the raw transcript of what money said to me about what it really is. And so that's where my misunderstanding about it also started to dissolve. Because the very first thing it said to me was, "I would like to tell you to love me." And it showed all the way through that it's this exquisitely beautiful energy, actually, that connects us together and enables to contribute to each other's well-being. And it's an energy, really an energy of love and an energy of generosity and abundance, and an energy that our soul resonates with. And I think that's the key, the difference between greed and abundance. You know, my soul loves abundance. It longs to experience abundance. It doesn't love greed. Greed is just a mistake I make if I think that's the way to get to abundance.
Yeah, it's a spirit's natural state. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
That's right.
So writing the book is actually what triggered this for you? Did you start with writing the book, or did you start with solving the problem, or how did
No,
you
the
get
book
into the
wrote
work in
itself.
general? Did it? Yeah.
I had no intention of writing a book. I had no intention of writing anything. Literally, it just happened
Right.
one day. I'd had a business failure, so I was really in a difficult situation. But this message was just, it was genuinely, let's say, channeled. I can say channeled with you. I could say automatic writing for
Right.
some other people. It really was. It was literally like money was telling me all about itself. The energy of money was
Fascinating.
speaking through my pen, and it was so beautiful. That's the thing. And it was so surprising to me as a British woman who grew up not talking about money and trying not to think about it and probably trying to be a good person. It 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 changed me, like, in a way that I probably could never have expected in my whole life, to see money as this very alive presence in our life that is really kind of like our wish fulfillment energy, actually.
Interesting.
Just so extraordinarily different from anything that I'd ever learnt before. And every chapter of the book was like one day's writing at the time, and it introduces something that is surprising and delightful and beautiful. And those are not words that we normally use about
Right.
money.
Right. No, I love that. And the wish fulfillment energy, that's perfect. That's that's
You
exact
know,
that's kind of what it is.
it is, and I have to share a little bit because it's such a
Tell me.
beautiful image that comes through the book. You get this picture that money's not just a sort of energy that's like a cloud in the sky. You know, it's easy to think of energy being just like this sort of, I don't know, very vague thing, but actually it turns out it's more like a huge intangible bureaucracy. It's like this massive organization of beings that respond to our wishes. So when we say, "Oh, I really want that, I'd really love to experience that," it's like they listen, and their job is to fulfill our wishes. But of course, we so often block the fulfillment. We say, "I'd really love
Right.
that, but I can't afford it," or "People like me don't get to do things like that." And then they have to sort of write it in their ledger, like, "Sarah wants this, but people like her don't get things like this." And so they have to deliver
That's
me that
perfect.
experience. They have to deliver me, "People like you don't get things like you want." And that's very uncomfortable for them, but that's their rules. So I kind of got this really crazy but very sort of accurate image of how it actually works in the in the multidimensional realms, which is quite fascinating, actually.
That
Helps you to
is.
understand what's going on in the interaction between your mind and your feelings and the energy that's all around us responding to us.
No, that's absolutely fascinating. Yeah. Now you're mentioning the multidimensional world. How does that play into it for you? Because we talk all the time about multidimensionality and the fact that the walls between the dimensions are starting to fade. So we're starting to get feedback and interaction and things we've never seen before. How did that work out for you? How do you describe that?
I also talk a lot about multidimensionality, and we explore that in the coaching that I do.
Right.
My sense is that I'm really experiencing it more or less all the time. Um, I have such a strong sense of so many subtle energies, not always very specific, but I sometimes describe it like when I'm making decisions or, planning in business, what I'm really doing is reading the music of the dimensions.
Oh,
And
perfect.
if I like the music of this decision, or I might compare it. So I've got, I could go this way in my business, or I could go that way. What does the music sound like if I go that way? It's like, what are all the tunes and harmonies and instruments that are playing with each other, three-dimensional and multi-dimensional? What happens if I go this way? So it's not so much like, some people do muscle testing. It's a yes, no. I don't look at yes, no answers. I look at, if you put all those frequencies together from everything that I'm aware of, which one do I choose? Because sometimes, it's like, do I choose Mozart or Beethoven? I can't say one of them is better than the other, but I can say today I'd like to listen to Mozart. Tomorrow I'd like to listen to Beethoven. So I think that I'm constantly working with multidimensionality. And that also plays into the relationship with money, because as I just described, it is actually a relationship with the multidimensional energy that literally serves humanity in this wish fulfillment system. And I've come to see that my soul, if you like, is kind of like a bundle of desire for experiences in this life. So it's the kind of starting point, the impulse for those wishes. And when the wishes come from my soul, those are the wishes that are really easy for the multidimensional world of money to respond to, because they're direct. When they come from my head, it's much harder. It's like I have to work really hard because I'm saying it's all about me. Then I have to work hard to fulfill those wishes. But the ones that come from my soul and light me up and just make me feel good inside, they're very easy for the multidimensional world of money to respond to and fulfill quickly, as long as I'm relaxed and kind of enjoying my life and happy and let things in. That's very important, of course. So yes, multidimensionality for me is our living reality.
Yeah, it's becoming our reality. We're seeing it. We're seeing it in a lot of ways. The way the group describes it, basically, they're saying it's sneaking up on everybody because we don't actually understand the concept of multidimensionality very much, and our science is starting to. I mean, they're calling it the multiverse. They're not even calling it the universe anymore. So we're moving there, but basically what they're saying about it is that those walls are dissolving. And people like you are teaching us how to walk in that energy all the time. And that's really important.
Exactly.
It's really important because
that being inside it, being inside the experience, not talking about it. And it's easy to talk and pontificate, quite frankly, about all kinds of very beautiful things, but to experience it from the inside, then you'll start to understand what quantum physics is trying to describe, because we get to experience that as human beings. And then it's like, that's well, for me, more than anything, it's like, this is life. This is that feels like what life is supposed to feel like, if you understand what I mean. It's like, this is what I came here for.
This is what I finally found what I came for. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm still looking for the fine print. I'm not quite sure. I think somebody may have pushed me, but we'll see. Might have been one of the group. Who knows? Yeah, absolutely. But it's getting to be a very exciting time, and so many things are changing on our planet. Obviously, we're seeing changes in politics and governments and things of that nature, but we're also seeing a lot of changes even in spirituality and the way that things are being taught now, the way that we reach through. And it's like the group says a whole nother level of people are coming in that are going to really be interested in this stuff right off the bat, and eventually teach us even a whole nother level of it. So we're here at some interesting times. I'll tell you, it's going to be really interesting going forward here. But as long as we hold hands, that's the main thing. That gets us through everything. And of course, at the other, I'd love to say there's an end. There isn't another end. But once we get through some of the change, we're building something really beautiful here. And sometimes we have to see some of the other side to do that.
Yes, and we have the opportunity now to be creating that change in those new systems. And I work with people, and I'm also part of that group who are building new systems, new models for business that take account of this new understanding of money. And I know other people, and honestly, I think all of us are guided, quite strongly guided in a spiritual way. People who you wouldn't imagine. I know a guy who's probably, one of the best cryptographers in the world. So he does all this stuff in technologies that we use all the time. And
Right.
he's not famous or well known because people like that, if you're a cryptographer, you're probably not usually
Don't usually
right
know
out
what
of the
that
oven.
is. Yes,
But
exactly.
these people are very spiritually guided in building extraordinary new systems for us that enable us to change our financial systems, enable an economy to be born that actually takes account of the well-being of nature and humans, and rather than destroying our well-being through our economic growth. These are things that are very important, I think, for the next evolution of humanity. And so that emerged out of my book. First of all, I became a teacher. Well, first of all, I became a learner of it. Then I became a teacher of it. Then it's like, oh, we've got to actually create businesses that are models of that. And then we've got to create models that other businesses can use so that we can share this knowledge in a really practical way. So it doesn't just stay in that kind of spiritual experience. It turns into real things. In people's businesses, of course, money is very important in families and in businesses, but also in how we develop and run businesses. I think it's a very important exploration and experiment.
That's fascinating. And yeah, and as you said, one of the challenges that we seem to have probably a little bit more in the spiritual arena than other places is acceptance. Exactly. All of a sudden, we have the opportunity to have money come in, and somehow we divert it. We go, "Oh, that's not for me. That must be for someone else." That's kind of the way we used to. My wife used to be very lucky at slot machines, and that's pretty much the way the group described her. They said, "Well, she would just walk up to somebody else who didn't think they were lucky, and she was expecting so much luck. They would leave the slot machine, she would walk in and win." And that's pretty much what happened. Interesting. Fascinating stuff. So I'm sure the book is filled with practical tools or something, but can you give us an idea of a practical tool about how we can use some of this in our daily lives now?
Well, the major advice that comes from the book is actually to relax about money.
Nice.
Then I think it's the second or third chapter. It says you all need to relax about money. You've completely misunderstood what it is, and it's that misunderstanding that creates the fear and the worry and the stress around it. And when we relax about it, we have a completely different relationship with it and a completely different experience of it. So that's actually the first advice or tip, if you like, is simply to relax, which is not necessarily easy for people, but it's really essential. And then the next thing it talks about a lot is enjoyment. And sometimes it says, I don't understand why you human beings find it so difficult to just recognize that enjoyment is important. Enjoyment enables the flow of money energy as much as it enables the flow of many other forms of energy. So these are kind of simple but challenging tips, if you like, for how we really relate with money. But the best way to understand that is to think about a relationship with somebody you love. If you're with somebody you love and you're always tense and worried and stressed, you're not going to have a good relationship.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Yeah, and if you're with somebody you love and you never enjoy that relationship, you're not going to receive much from the other person. They might want to give to you. They might really love you and be really generous. But if you're tight and you can't enjoy it, you can't receive much. Money works like human relationships, only the money doesn't get moody. It doesn't get in a bad mood on us.
I love that. The money doesn't get moody. Money's direct. Yeah. Oh, that's perfect. Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, we have so much confusion about it, and you're absolutely right. We tend to even judge ourselves sometimes by our money situation or how much we receive or so forth, and it's really difficult sometimes. I'm kind of I'm kind of I have kind of the love language of the nurturer. So I tend to want to take care of people that I care about. And sometimes that is overdone. Sometimes they go, wait, we're out of balance. You're giving me too much. And so there's this internal balancing system that I'm also finding out about that. I mean, you can actually take somebody's power away by doing too much without the right appropriate. So it's really fascinating to see how this is working, and like I said, I think we have a whole lot of new rules coming. Uh,
Well, it's interesting in you talking about yourself, like, because probably a lot of people who are spiritual are also nurturers in some ways. They often care a lot about people. Lots of people, they're healers and those
right.
types. Do they heal their relationship with money? Do they nurture their relationship with money in the way that they do with other people? Or do they ignore it and push it away? Because if you think about it, it's a very beautiful energy. Money is something that comes into your life, usually because you've done something good for somebody else. So it's nice that somebody has a way to say thank you to you that's very tangible. It gives you some freedom. It enables you to go and do what you want with it. They didn't give you a piece of a cow or the book they just wrote in exchange for the book you wrote. Maybe you don't want their book. They give you some money so you can go
Exactly.
do whatever you want with it. It's like when you start to think of it like that, you realize, wow, money is an amazing thing to interact with. And some of us are afraid that if we have too much of it, we'll become bad people.
But
And look,
that's the
sure,
challenge. That's and
it
where is that?
well, the thing is, it
Exactly.
brings out all of you. So you become more powerful for sure when you have
Yeah.
more money. We can't avoid that. You have the power to make more things happen through the way you use that money. So it will reveal your goodness and your badness, so to speak. But
Oh,
you
that's
know what?
great. Yeah.
You have to make peace with it because you have to make peace with yourself. I have not been able to eliminate the badness, but I'm gradually being able to make peace with it.
Yeah, it's always been an interesting process to me. We when we formed this business that we're in here, that I'm doing at Spavo, we actually formed it as a nonprofit because we wanted to set that energy in a different way. To know that we have responsibilities, we have oversight, we have things of that nature that are going on. And the funny part is we don't actually get many donations. We don't. That's not how we support ourselves, but it set an energy, and it was kind of an interesting process to be able to do that, to be able to be transparent. I mean, our tax returns are on the internet, so I mean, literally everything is completely open, and
Yeah.
it's really kind of an interesting process. I do think that even though we may go out of that nonprofit type of thing, that we'll have more of this type of openness with business. Um,
Oh
a lot
yes,
of things. Yeah.
transparency. The blockchain, really, the whole crypto movement has actually brought that in because you can't hide your transactions anymore. So
Right.
everything's open, and transparency is definitely going to be extremely important. And what they call zero trust, which means that everybody can see it and nobody can change it. So you can't
Correct.
have some influential person who comes in and says, "Oh, I don't agree with that. Let's just change it," or "I don't like what you're doing there. Let's hide it." That's not possible in the new
Right.
systems. Love it or hate it, there are people don't like some aspects of that, but where it's wisely used, it's a wonderful thing.
Well, that's exactly what the group's been talking about. And they've been talking about this for many years, but they say we're at that point now where we're going to see a lot of it happen, where we're entering the time of no more secrets. And we think about that for a minute, well, we all got secrets. I mean, obviously we're going to be having secrets still, but a lot because of the new technologies that's coming in, the AI, the quantum computing, the ternary computing, all the things that are happening right now, they're going to change our life very quickly. And a lot of the things that we have been hiding, and even corporations have been hiding, will be easily seen. And
Yeah.
it'll be kind of a rough transition in the beginning, I'm sure, but I think it's going to be a really good thing.
Well, we're in that transition, aren't we? It's already happening it's
That
been
is.
happening, growing over the last few years, I would say, quite strongly. Interestingly, I spent many years training with a Chinese energy master, and she always
Oh,
used to
did
say
you?
secret. Yeah, 20. Two. I trained with two different masters over a period of 22 years, so it was a long time.
Wow.
And the second one, she always used to say, secrets make you sick. And I have found that when there's stuff that's hidden in people, it eats away at you from the inside, and over the long term, it's never good. And people who are open and can just get things out, sometimes they're annoying, sometimes you don't really want to listen to it, but there's something healthy in that. I don't mean
Right.
over dramatizing, but just releasing stuff and being able to move on. It really helps.
That's what the group talks about when we do relationship seminars. They basically say the greatest thing you can do in a relationship is to tell your partner your greatest secrets. Real simple. Everything dissolves away very quickly at that point, and you end up bonding on a different level. It's absolutely amazing. So, yeah, there's a lot that's going to be changing here in the fairly near future, and I'm excited about it. It's scary watching what's going on, watching the technology that we have do what it's doing, and I'm very much in the technology. I mean, I build the computers myself, so I'm very much into that. But at the same time, it's advanced so much that it's changed our reality. It's changed, it's changed our capabilities, our way we communicate, things we can be influenced by, all the rest of the things. But I do have a really good outlook of what's happening. I think that we'll reach levels where the pendulum will swing the other way, and we'll be able to step up into a higher reality very quickly. And I think
It
it's
does
happening.
seem, there have been times in the past where it looked like that might happen and didn't really happen, but it does seem like everything's set this time for a bigger evolutionary shift for us from multiple different angles. And I think as more secrets get revealed, and secrets perhaps about our origins, which I think will come out to be very different from what we've been told, we'll
I
start to get a
agree.
different definition of ourselves. And being born in original sin and stuff like that, I don't think it's going to hold water for much longer. Perhaps we'll start to see the true nature of human beings, that really, we are beautiful beings. We have all our we have our uglinesses, but there's a fundamental underlying beauty to every human being, whatever their life story. And when we start to see that, we can't maintain so many of the old ways of doing
Right.
things. And that just does seem to be coming out more and more and more clearly through more and more different channels and different groups and different explorations and curiosity. We just have access to so much information about ourselves now, which was impossible to imagine really 30 years ago.
It really was. It really was. 30 years ago when I started channeling, it was we were in chat rooms. The message boards
Yeah.
hadn't even been made yet. So we went from chat rooms to message boards to social media, and then everything went crazy. So yeah, it's been
Yeah.
crazy. It's been absolutely wild. This has been a real joy, my dear. You and I are on the same page. That's pretty obvious. We're getting the same message, and we're putting it in slightly different audiences. It's really cool the way you're talking about it. So it's really nice to see. Is there any final piece you'd like to do? We're running out of time, but I wanted to see if there's any final piece you'd like to share with our readers. And let me bring up your website again so we can take a look at that, because it's really a beautiful website.
I think the final piece is simply to recognize that if you feel any kind of struggle around money, it's rather like a struggle around any other part of your life. It's actually a moment for you to evolve. It's not so much a problem as a pressure point that is pushing you to grow. I think a lot of people don't realize that about money, and they just get they feel stuck in a place. But if you can just recognize that this is a place where you're growing, and yes, it hurts sometimes to grow, and to relax and enjoy. Just remember those two words, relax and enjoy. Even if it seems like not the thing to do, it's remarkable when you relax and when you enjoy anything. It's kind of like the new energy, the energy that's evolving you can get into your system, and you'll grow more quickly, and you find solutions that way. When we evolve, we go to a new level, we find solutions at a new level. And I've proven this with myself, and I've taught more than 20,000 people, so a lot of people. I've seen how it works every day in action. So if it hurts, just remember that it's a pressure point for your evolution, and relax into it and try to enjoy your life, whatever you can, because that will enable you to pass through that more quickly.
Very beautiful. Very beautiful. And where can people find you? Where's the best place? I mean, I showed your website, but tell us where the best, what things you're offering besides the first 4 chapters.
So everything is on my website, which is sarahmccrum.com. I run courses. I have a short course, which is really about the book. And I have a course called Wealth Streams, which is about growing true wealth. It's kind of multidimensional wealth. Those are the main things that I do. My books are in all the places where you can buy books. And also there's an audiobook. A lot of people like the audiobook, and it's on Spotify as well as Audible. So that's a useful thing. And YouTube, of course, I make YouTube videos.
Oh, nice. Oh, nice. We'll have you back, my dear. This has been a real joy. Thank you so much for sharing your wealth with us. It's been a real joy. So thanks for being with us here today.
Thank you very much, from my group to your group.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. They're all laughing on the other side of the veil. The groups told me before, I said, well, do you know these beings over here? And do you know these beings? And they say, when you're all finished with those bodies, you're going to check into the other side and you're going to find out you've all been channeling the same entity. So I have no doubt. Anyway, thanks for being with us, Sarah. I really appreciate it. Take care.
Thank you.
All right, everybody. Thanks. That's the Backstory Podcast. We'll be back in another couple of weeks with another bright, shining star for you to get some ideas from, some concepts. Many of you are teachers and healers in your own right. Some of you know it, some of you don't. Welcome to planet Earth. We're glad you're here. There are some difficult times that we're all going to be walking through, but it's real easy if we just reach out and hold each other's hands. Makes sense. Aspav, everybody. Thank you for taking your power.